Hey, how you doing? Today is day 5 of 21 in Amplify, and I want you to know that I'm praying for you as you press into the Lord. You know, as I was praying and thinking about this morning, I don't know about you, but one of the hardest things I think most of us find to do is to admit when we're wrong. So often we excuse ourselves, don't we? We think, I didn't mean to say or do that. That is so unlike me. I just don't know what came over me. And have you ever noticed how when it comes to forgiveness, we set the bar higher for others than we do for ourselves? One of the things that inspires me about the apostles is the way that we can track the work of the gospel in their lives. They go from being these impatient, prideful, even arrogant men, people who sought to sit next to Jesus or boast about how while others would deny him, they wouldn't turn away, to men of humility and strength of character. You see, the more they focused on Jesus, the more they became aware of their pride and boasting of sin, the more they became aware of their need for forgiveness. For almost 20 years, I was an Anglican priest. And for all of its shortcomings, one of the things I loved about the communion service was the way it faced up to the issue of personal sin. Every week, in the lead up to taking communion, people would confess their need for God's forgiveness and mercy by saying, "Merciful God, we have sinned in what we have thought and said, in the wrong we have done, and in the good we have not done. We've sinned in ignorance, we've sinned in weakness, we've sinned through our own deliberate fault." You see, there are times when we sin knowingly, and there are times when we sin without realizing that what we're doing or saying offends against God. Sometimes it's the good that we don't do that offends against him. Walking by those in need or ignoring someone when it is well within our ability to help them. Sometimes it's what we don't stand up for or what we don't say that offends God. Sin is so insidious, it finds its way of exploiting our personalities and weaknesses. Sin is whatever comes between us and God and ourselves and those around us. It's the way that we think of others in categories that God doesn't. It's the way that we compare ourselves to others. It's the way that we rationalize the Bible or try and explain why it doesn't relate to us or have certain claims on us today. But here's the thing, no matter how it finds expression in your life, sin will rob you of what God has for you. It will come between you and God. It will dull your senses to him. It will blind you to what God wants to show you. I love today's fasting thought. Confession recognizes the absence of God's presence in our lives through our own willfulness or indifference. Fasting is an act of craving more of God's presence, power and purity in our lives and ministry. Confession is admitting there's something wrong between us and God. And fasting is longing for the fullness of God to flood our souls. When we practice confession in our fasting becomes more than a tool to bring God back to us. It becomes an instrument moving us back to God because God never moves. So today my prayer is that you will allow the Lord to begin to show you those areas that you need to ask forgiveness for, so that the Lord can begin to rebuild those areas of your life and make them fruitful again. God bless you, and we'll talk again tomorrow.